Kodak once was one of the biggest camera companies in the world and is now transitioning into pharmaceuticals. What is going on here? In this video, we're going to look at how Kodak is going to change industries and why it actually makes more sense than you think. Before we begin, as always, like and subscribe to support the channel. Back in 2012, Kodak filed for bankruptcy, and their stock and company were basically dead in the water. However, over the last 5 days, Kodak's stock rocketed 1,500% from $2 a share all the way past $30 a share. Kodak's market cap is around $1 billion and added hundreds of millions of dollars in a matter of days. So what is really going on here? Is this move justified, or is it just FOMO going out of control? Kodak has rocketed after President Trump announced that Kodak will be getting a $765 million loan from the government to start producing chemicals for pharmaceuticals. After this news, the stock shot up and became the #1 stock on Robinhood as people were trying to ride the hype train up and make some quick gains. But why Kodak, you may be asking? What does making cameras have to do with chemicals and pharmaceuticals? Surely there is somebody better equipped to handle this. But looking at Kodak's history, it kind of makes sense. Let me explain. Back in the day before digital cameras, Kodak was the biggest name in photography. If you have an old photo, it was most likely taken on a Kodak. Kodak made taking pictures a lot cheaper and easier for people. Their slogan was, "You press the button, we do the rest." Well, back in the day, getting pictures was much more of a process than it is today. You actually had to go to somebody and get the pictures developed off the camera's film. So you couldn't even see the pictures you were taking until you got it developed a few days later. Kodak made a majority of their money from developing and selling film for their cameras called Kodachrome. In 1976, they had 85% of the camera market share and 90% market share on film. They also had a great marketing campaign with the Kodak moment. Anytime you had a special moment you wanted to remember, that was called a Kodak moment. But with all this success, eventually digital cameras came into the market, and people didn't have a need to buy Kodak cameras and film anymore. But that's not actually the full story. Kodak actually were the ones that invented the digital camera back in 1975, and were actually the leader in digital cameras. So what actually happened if it wasn't the digital camera bankrupting Kodak? Then what was it? Well, film was Kodak's #1 moneymaker. So much so that they basically gave out free cameras so people could go out and buy their film and develop their photos with Kodak. Making and developing film is actually a very difficult process that requires a lot of specialty chemicals. Kodak, which was one of the largest filmmakers, actually has their own specialty chemical manufacturing plant in Rochester, New York. Before the announcement of the $765 million loan, Kodak was already making some chemicals and has the capabilities to make hundreds of different compounds and organic synthesis. So Kodak is going into the pharmaceutical business. Isn't all that far-fetched when you look into it? Another example of filmmakers going into another chemical-heavy industry is Fuji Films. They diversified and went into the cosmetic business with their brand Astrolift. They realized the same antioxidant research required to prevent color fading on film due to UV light can be applied to skin aging. This is basically the same concept as Kodak making chemicals for pharmaceuticals. The company already previously developed non-prescription drugs before selling its business to British drug maker SmithKline for $2.93 billion in 1994. They also already began making hand sanitizer and face masks when the country was low on supplies. Kodak's move into the pharmaceutical business is part of President Trump's plan to use the Defense Production Act to bring the manufacturing of critical pharmaceutical ingredients back to the US after the lockdowns underscored the nation's reliance on China. This change in direction might have just come in time for Kodak, which had seen its market cap shrink to $114 million since the bankrupt back in 2012. This was a long fall from Kodak's highest point, with the market cap of $31 billion back in 1997. So when it comes down to it, Kodak isn't just a failed camera business. They are capable of much more and well equipped for chemical manufacturing, but this is a lesson of not chasing stock prices, as they jump up quick but also can drop just as quick. So overall, is Kodak stock a buy? Well, at its current price, probably not. I would wait to see if Kodak could actually execute and spend the loan wisely to begin making a profit on the money they were given. It is definitely going to be interesting to see what the future of Kodak is going to look like. Who knows, they might actually become one of the biggest US pharmaceutical companies. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos.